Clint Cosgrove, Rivals.com, continuing our early National Signing Day show. We've got Utah head coach Kyle Whittingham. Very special guest today. Coach, thanks for coming on and talking some Utah recruiting and football.
You bet. Appreciate you having me.
Now, coming off another huge season, Coach, 10 wins. And we were kind of talking about this before. You guys play a different brand of football. You're a physical team. You run the ball. You impose your will. And I think this recruiting class kind of resembles what you guys are, as far as an identity as a team. You look at, the positions you signed and everything like that is, signing 3 running backs, for instance. That room's going to be in good hands for years to come. Tell me a little bit about your goals heading into this signing class.
Well, obviously you have positional needs. When you lose guys to graduation or leaving early for the NFL, the first thing you have to address is making sure you got each room, with ample bodies and being able to have depth at each position. Beyond that, it's just finding the best athletes available and the guys with the most upside. And that's kind of been our MO for a lot of years. We're a high school recruiting based program. 15, 20 years ago, it was 80% high school, 20% junior college. Now it's shifted to 80% high school, 20% transfers, through the portal. And so that really, the portal players and the transfer players have really supplanted what used to be junior college athletes for us. But it's still about the same ratio. Like I said, we're 80% high school guys, and that's what our program makeup is.
Yeah. I mean, known for developing players, but you also signed some big name players as well. And I think the thing that's really interesting about your program is you do recruit regionally, but your brand has become that where you can kind of go anywhere and pull a special player. And I think of you guys going into Kansas and grabbing John Randall today. Tell me a little bit about his recruitment and your thoughts on him as a running back and, a future Ute.
Well, first of all, he's a terrific athlete. I mean, he's a 24-foot long jumper or thereabout. He's fast in the 100 meters. He's just a freak athlete, and that's the kind of guys we look for. The guys that have the skill set and the high ceilings, and we think John fits that bill. He's got good size as well. He's nearly 200 pounds and 6 feet or a little better. So we think we got a good one there, and we were excited, when we got that commitment from John. And as you mentioned, we're committed to running the football, and he's certainly going to add to that.
Yeah, no question. Love the athleticism, love the upside. Love the lineage as well. Father, great football player. Right. Uncle, a very good football player. And I know that was a big win for you guys because his dad's old position coach was recruiting him for another team. So, other areas of emphasis, on the defensive side of the ball, what were you looking to fill as far as holes defensively?
Well, we're always looking for front guys. Those guys are typically the hardest to find, and we thought we came away with some really good players up front. Linebackers, we got some good returning guys, but we needed 2 or 3 guys in that at that position group, and then in the secondary, we again just looking for the best athletes available and guys that can play man coverage. That we're a big man-to-man coverage team, and we always on the lookout for those corners that can play man coverage. We got a really good one in Smith Snowden down in just in the south of us, about a half hour, and then some CJ Blocker out of Texas. I mean, we've got some guys that we are very high on.
Yeah. Impressive group. Impressive group of name guys that. The Midwest is my main region, but these are guys that we talk about in our national rankings meetings, and I'm very familiar with them because of that. And I talk about footprint a little bit earlier, but you guys seem to be able to kind of go anywhere and win battles. I remember last year you got the running back from Florida. You get local guys. You go to Hawaii, Texas, California. When you set out your recruiting plan for the year, is it, we're looking to grab this many players from this region, or are you just willing to go anywhere to grab the best player? Are you looking for a connection? How does that all work?
Yeah, it's a little of everything, I guess you would say. Our footprint has definitely expanded. through the years, and we'll go, as you mentioned, from Florida all the way to Hawaii, which is a pretty big area. We're not as big up north, north or northeast. That's not really much of a presence for us. We don't have a big presence there, but we've been able to have very good success in Florida, Texas, of course, in-state here in Utah. Southern Cal has always been a staple for us, and I think we got 3 or 4 guys from there this year as well. And then Hawaii, the Polynesian athlete has been a big part of our success through the years, and we've not only got them from Hawaii, but the island of Samoa and Tonga, and even New Zealand at times. And so we have a pretty big net that we cast, but we feel like the main areas that we have are just those that I named.
Yeah, no. Who gets to go and be the New Zealand recruiter? That doesn't sound like a bad gig.
Yeah, that's Lewis Powell. Lewis Powell is our world traveler. We've sent him to Australia, New Zealand, you name it, and he's been there. So he coaches our defensive ends, does a great job, and he also has the Hawaiian Islands and as well as Samoa and Tonga.
Incredible. That is incredible. How about, recruiting philosophy changes over the years? You talked about an expanding footprint. The other thing that I've talked to with a lot of coaches about is because of the transfer portal and, NIL and everything, just the overall environment today. It almost seems like an NFL approach. You don't know who you're going to lose to the portal. You don't know who you might need to gain from the portal. Are you guys looking at your roster differently, almost like the NFL, evaluating where you need to be, who you could lose, who you could get? And then, because back in the day, it used to be, we graduated 3 defensive backs, so we take 3 defensive backs.
Right.
How has today's football environment changed the way you look at things?
Much, much different. And we spend hours and hours poring over the roster and trying to project and predict, I guess you could say, who's going to stay, who might be thinking of leaving, and also guys on the roster that may be better served to leave, that might have a better chance of playing at a different level. And so we do that almost on a daily basis. I mean, we take a look at that roster and talk about it, and talk about the players and how they're developing, and who we think is going to become a real guy for us, and who maybe would be better served to move on, like I said, and that's something that, as you mentioned, it used to be very cut and dried. I mean, here's your senior class, they're out. Here's the new freshmen coming in, and it's no longer that simple. Far from it. Far from it.
It has evolved so much, and it's crazy to hear everybody's philosophy. Some guys in the portal nonstop. Some want to, have plug holes. I think you can find a happy medium. And different teams are finding different ways to win with it. But what you guys are doing obviously works, Coach. Very impressive class. Do you have plans? Are you going to continue to add to this? Is there more to come at the late signing period? Or is most of the hay in the barn right now?
I would say high school wise, 95% the hay is in the barn. And that's pretty much the trend. The high school players are almost all signing on that early signing day. There's a few holdovers that wait until that second date, but we're pretty well wrapped up with the high school players. Now we're going to go ahead and supplement, those guys with transfer portal guys, as well as guys that we don't foresee losing off the roster. I mean, there's some things that surprise you. When a guy walks into your office and says, "Hey, I'm going to enter the portal," I mean, just hits you right out of the blue. And so in that regard, the portal is a good, I don't want to call it a Band-Aid, but a way to replenish your roster and take care of immediate needs.
No question. Well, Coach, can't thank you enough for coming on. Always a pleasure to talk with you. Really impressed with the job that you guys do, not only this year, but every year, not only on the recruiting trail, but, on the field as well. And really appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate you having me on, Clint. Appreciate it very much.
There you have it. Coach Kyle Whittingham from Utah. Thanks, Coach.
Okay.
Clint Cosgrove, Rivals.com, here, signing day show with the new South Florida head coach, Coach Alex Golesh. Coach, first of all, congratulations on the new job and whipping together a 16-person class in, 17 days? That's like a kid a day. How do you manage to do that?
Man, I think just the foresight of the administration to get this thing done, before the portal started, while the kids were still on campus, and then allowing me as fast as I can to put a staff together. I think part of the interview process was who's coming. And I don't know if it's like this all the time or not, but who I said was coming. And for the most part, everybody's here and we're rocking and rolling. So I think we hit the ground running after we had a chance to really evaluate what the heck is going on here and evaluate the guys and kind of dissect who's here, who's not. We were able to hit the ground running. I think the fact that regionally most of the staff came from the Southeast, so I think it helped. One, having names, potentially recruiting guys here or there. There was a couple of guys that were committed here that we had to go through, but I think more than anything is the relationships in the Southeast were already there. The relationships with the kids were already there, which made it a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible. And, I know your philosophy as far as offense goes. You guys are going to play fast. You're going to stretch the field. You're going to play tempo. What would you say about this class? Have you been able to, when you look at the personnel that's already there and you look at what you're bringing in, how fast are you going to be able to get, your style of play in place?
Yeah, I think just as much as you talked about the offense, I think defensively, and having Todd Orlando here as a defensive coordinator, this is a guy that 2 years ago, we were working on seeing if he was available, and I coached against him when I was in the Big 12. And for me, one of the best game planners and one of the best defensive coordinators I've ever gone against. So for me to get him, a guy that's been experienced, bonus that he spent last year in the state of Florida, I think matching the defense to the offense in terms of who we are, what we're about, being aggressive and forcing things to happen on that side of the ball, I think it just meshes who we are in terms of an aggressive, fast approach to everything we do. So in terms of getting to that, I think we'll know better at the end of spring. But as far as what we've attacked and what we've gone after in recruiting has been to match that. Can we get to what we want to be as fast as we can? I think the best coaches, the best football minds are able to gel a system to the guys you have on both sides of the ball. And I think that's why I bring up Todd, because I think on that side we'll certainly be able to do so. And on the offensive side, we'll certainly have to adjust and see what we have from starting with the quarterback perspective. But I do think we're well on our way. I don't think we're anywhere near done. I think a really good start, 16, I think at 2:00 here. And then shoot, things may change here as we get into the night tomorrow, Friday. And then certainly after this quiet period here at the beginning of January, we get a chance to get a couple more guys in here and see what else we can do in terms of flipping this roster.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, it's almost a guy a day. It's incredible what you've done. Your recruiting is going at the pace that you ran that Tennessee offense up in Knoxville. How do you plan on finishing out this class? Is it going to be heavy transfer portal? Is it going to be high school guys who maybe fell through the cracks or late qualifiers? What's the approach moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of all of that. I think the transfer portal right now is probably, I don't know if the easiest is the word, but certainly where you can see game experience at this level and attract those guys. I think high school wise, where we are geographically, you're talking about Florida, Georgia, there's still a bunch of guys out there that maybe slipped through the cracks, maybe academically are waiting on some things. The coaching changes. You look at kids that thought on Sunday they were going to a place and now they're not, and they're just not ready to make a decision yet. So I think each young man, each situation is completely different. I certainly would like to get some older guys in here that can help us, but I also am not naive to the point that we've got to build with young guys, especially, up front on both sides of the ball. You want to develop guys. You want to get guys here and develop them. I think the big advantage we have here is you could see the sun shining through over here, what this place is. And you talk about the sun's out 365 days a year. You got maybe some of the most beautiful coastline in the country right down the road, literally 10 minutes away. You got an incredible institution that's top 50 academically in the entire country, growing. You got Tampa, an incredible sports town. So you got a lot to sell. I think starting there, and I brought up the transfer portal first in the main part of, honestly, one of the biggest reasons I took this job is because of the amount of kids that leave here. And those guys that leave here, for the most part, if they're not having a good experience, they want to come back this way. And so they're not having a good experience, and they're from the state of Florida, especially the Bay Area here, man, I'm right here waiting. Let's roll.
Well, you heard it, guys. He is ready and waiting if you want to go back to the Bay Area, because I know there's a lot of talent that comes out of there, leaves, and I can't blame them for going back, especially with all the things that you talked about, Coach. But congratulations on the job. Congratulations on putting together such a class in such a short amount of time. And we're excited to see what you build down there in Tampa and South Florida.
Well, I appreciate it, Clint. You're always welcome. I know probably here around January, you're going to want to head down this way. So
I will happily come and visit you, man. I can't thank you enough for the invite. I'm going to hold you to it. And can't thank you enough for coming on the Signing Day show. There you got it. South Florida head coach, Alex Golesh. Thanks a lot, Coach.
Thank you. Go Bulls. Let's go.
Clint Cosgrove, Rivals.com, here with Illinois head football coach, Coach Bret Bielema. Thanks for coming on. Talk a little more Illinois football and recruiting, Coach.
Excited to be on, excited for the day, and really excited for the future.
Yeah, I would say so. Today is an exciting day in Illinois football. It's been an exciting year for the Illini, and this class says a lot about what you guys have done on the field, because I think it represents the progress that you guys have made, not only in the state, but obviously on the field. Tell me about guys like Antoine Hayden, a guy who I've gotten to know over the past 2 years, really developed into a special player, not only as a player physically and athletically, but he's really taken on a leadership role, it seems like, when it comes to your recruiting.
I agree, Clint. I told JoJo this morning, like, I've never had a kid be able to recruit as well as you. You're going to go right from done playing. Hopefully he has a great career here in the NFL, and I'm going to hire him as a recruiter. He's just a very infectious personality. East St. Louis, I remember being in that school, and I remember Sunk looking at me and just saying, Coach, he's got that leadership trait. He's got that quality. And every day since I've been around him, it's definitely come out.
Yeah, I say it's JoJo is always in the no. He knows everything, and he's very vocal in his recruitment and support of the Illinois program. You went hard in state again this year. Obviously, we've talked about that probably ad nauseum, but it's really paying dividends. Caden, you got Antoine. TJ McMillan, Pat Farrell, Brandon Henderson. I mean, you flip him from Iowa State. How much of your success on the field do you think has made the in-state recruiting speed up?
Clint, I said this in my opening press conference, right? Any successful organizations, whether it be business, college football teams, anything that I've seen be bountiful and be something that can be more than it is, starts from the people that are around it, right? It comes from within. And I think for Illinois football to be successful, it has to come from Illinois players. Last year, we signed 11 of our 22 high school players are from the state of Illinois. This year, it's about the same. Have got some higher level on the outside world ranking players, but I think we found players that fit our system, and that breeds, I think, into our culture here, but also to our fan base, and then all the people in the state of Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, the serious buzz in the state of Illinois about what you guys have done this season and the future. This class definitely represents that. I want to talk about one more guy that's from out of state, but Sabor Kareem, kid with length, love him on film. I think he's going to be a special player. Tell me about his recruitment and how you went about landing him.
Yeah, Sabor is a special player. As much as I'm in love with his skill set, his length, as you mentioned, his burst, his athleticism, he is just an incredibly infectious personality. His mom, Renice, is like a very heavily involved mom in a good way. She loves that kid up every day of his life. He's got a great base around him, not just his family, but his coaches. He's a unique story. He probably can play offense and defense. I think we'll start him on the defense side of the ball, but a strong personality, great leadership, a very intense player. He's a corner. And earlier today when I was talking to him, I was talking about the 3 or 4 clips I'm going to show to the media. He said, Coach, you got those hits on there, right? And I said, yes, I do, Sabor. Very seldom does a corner want hits on there. It's usually a coverage or a interception or a big play, but he definitely wanted that physicality out there.
Yeah, well, he's a big physical kid, and I think he really represents what you guys are recruiting. You're building a big, physical, tough team in your mold, Coach. And, congratulations on the great season. Congratulations what you guys are doing on the road and recruiting. And thank you for coming on and talking Illinois ball.
Appreciate it, Clint. Have a great holiday.
Yes, you too, Coach. Bret Bielema. Clint Cosgrove, Rivals national recruiting analyst, here with a very special guest on our signing day show. We've got the new Wisconsin head coach, Luke Fickell. Coach, thanks for coming on to talk Badger football, Wisconsin recruiting.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's a busy day for us, but I know it's a busy day for you as well.
Yeah, no, it is definitely a busy day. But I can only imagine how busy it has been for you for what has it been? I don't know, 18, 20 days, making a big transition. And you guys have managed to throw together a heck of a class in a short amount of time. It's a transition probably that wasn't projected, wasn't expected, but it happens. You get this great opportunity. You go to Wisconsin. Just tell me how it has been. First of all, arriving in Madison and then shifting gears and recruiting for a new team and building a new program.
Well, it's been exciting, to be honest. I mean, change is always difficult in different ways, but it's also really exciting. And where there's the anxieties up and down of every day because every day's new right now. So I think the energy wise, it's, it can be draining, but it's really exciting. And been here, whatever that is, 17, 18, 19 days. And every single day there's something a little bit new, whether it's recruiting, whether it's coaching stuff. And, but the great thing about it is for all those days, I don't think there's been a day that I haven't been around the guys on this team and the guys within the program. And to me, that's what it was all about getting here as soon as I possibly can, being a part of the bowl prep, going to the bowl with them. Is it difficult? Yeah, it is. And it's uncomfortable at times with some different situations. But you know what? It's about the kids. It's about making sure that we're set for the future. And the future is with the guys that are in this program right now.
For sure. Transition can be hard. Those guys were recruited by different staff. You come in, but you're also bringing in new guys. You're coaching the guys that you have. But the one thing across the board and just being connected with the Wisconsin program and covering the Midwest is everybody talks about the relationships that you build in recruiting. For instance, and I'll bring up one of your signees today, a guy I know very well, Amari Snowden. And when you left for Wisconsin, he called me right away, and he had so much respect for you, and you were like a father figure to him almost. And you going to Wisconsin, he was just like lost and sad. And then he finds his way coming back to you again. And I just thought it said so much about your ability to connect with players and develop meaningful relationships. Tell me about the relationship you have with Amari, for instance. And then, what is your philosophy when it comes to, really getting to the nitty gritty and getting to know these kids and bringing them in is almost part of your family?
Yeah, I think that's what's probably the hardest about this class is, a lot of those guys in the way that, building those relationships over a year and a half or 2 years. And, Amari is one of those guys that you build over, probably 2 years. And I think it makes it a little difficult when that's the way you've always kind of gone about your business. And all of a sudden you have those changes and you've got 3 weeks. You're not about all the glitz and the glamour and all of a sudden throwing out money and making these promises, which I'm not saying is wrong. It's just everybody goes about their recruiting a little bit different. There's a guy like Amari that you have the utmost respect for, that you're recruiting to play 2 sports. You go to Wisconsin where they don't even have baseball.
No baseball.
But obviously that relationship, that his idea that he had to make maybe a decision a little bit earlier than he would have made had he gone someplace else where he was going to try the 2 sports. So I think that's a great indication of, what the relationships can do. And I think it's a great indication of how strong the culture and things have been here, because of the 11 guys that were committed when we walked in the door, the 10 that were committed, they all stayed. And I'm not saying we built as good a relationship with those guys in a 3-week process, but they were here for a reason. They seen the bigger picture to things. And in that short amount of time, they trusted and believed in that blind faith that we talk about, that, hey, what you loved about this place is not going to change. They're just going to be, a different face with a little bit of different ways of doing things. But the culture, the environment, that locker room is really strong. It's not changing.
Yeah. And that's another thing that I hear from kids is the culture that you've built over the years. And obviously your success at Cincinnati speaks for itself, and the guys you've recruited, whether it be Alec Pierce, from Chicago, or Sauce from Michigan. And, I'm excited to see you bring that same type of recruiting philosophy and aggressiveness to Madison. And, there's two guys that I want to talk about in particular. One, a guy who just flipped, and it appears he has signed with Wisconsin, Tretch, a one-time Wisconsin commit that decommitted, when the coaching change happened. How did you get him back in the boat?
I got to give a lot of credit to obviously what the guys had done here before and the relationships they had built. But then Coach Brown went out there and spent a day, got to know him, and I wasn't able to get out there. So the good fortunes of, this kind of FaceTime stuff and some of these Zooms that you actually feel like you can get into their home and try to create that relationship with the family that's, so strong in relationships. But I think that's the strength of you saying, well, how'd you guys do that? Well, we were just a little part of that. Well, who did that was Wisconsin. Who did that with those guys before? Who did that were the history of some of the former guys that have been here from, his kind of circles of things. And that's the thing that I'm so excited about, is how strong the brand is throughout the country. And to be able to go to Vegas or Hawaii, wherever you want to say that, Tretch is from, that you still have that incredible draw here. I think that had a lot to do with it, but I also think that, and I hope to believe that the sincerity and the authenticity that whether they felt Coach Brown had when he was out there, or we got an opportunity to do through obviously meetings like this, and running into his sister at a restaurant in town that just happened to be by coincidence. There are a lot of things that kind of fell into place in order for that one to kind of work its way out.
It almost seems too good to be true. I guess it was meant to be. And, having grown up in Madison, I get the pull and I get the culture and all of that. Another culture guy, and during this change in this process of you taking over, Justin Taylor. He is a guy who, of all the guys, he was the most vocal about on Wisconsin, no matter what happened, whether it was a coach, whoever, any change, he was all about Wisconsin. He was a big vocal advocate for you guys as well. And I tell you what, I've seen him for years, and he is a heck of a football player. Tell me about the relationship you've built with Justin in a short amount of time, and how you guys see him fitting in at Wisconsin.
I might need to give a little more credit to Justin and his family, because they have been probably the catalyst to keeping a lot of these guys that, that were maybe not as, set in stone as he was and as strong as he was. And so I think that if I knew anything, I just felt that he was kind of that guy at the center of the communication with a lot of these guys. And he's worked as much as we probably have at not just keeping these guys together, but also getting us involved in a lot of other guys. And he'll continue to do that. So got a good fortune to be able to spend a little bit of time with the family. We actually got cut short from our visit as I was in Chicago, because I had to run back and try to maintain and take care of our own team with guys that are, being pulled away and possible portal guys. But that's when I realized that they had the utmost respect for what it is we were doing. They were really strong, and they were our greatest advocate, because they were like, go take care of the program. We're going to continue to do what we do. I think the unique thing with him is there's just so many positions that he can play. Yep. You're going to get back here in January, and you're going to have the offensive guys kind of tugging at you. You're going to have the defensive guys tugging at you. And, you're going to be like, okay, well, let me sit with him and make sure I find out where his heart and his mind are, so we can put him in the best position that he feels like is for him.
No question. He can do a little bit of everything. Ball in his hands. He can cover you. He can hit you. He can return. He can catch. He's going to be a very good player. I have no doubt about it. But congratulations on what you've done so far in such a little amount of time, Coach. Really appreciate you coming on the Signing Day show today. And there we have it, Coach Luke Fickell, the head coach of Wisconsin. And thanks for coming on, Coach.
Thanks, Clint. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Clint Cosgrove, Rivals.com, here with Texas Tech head football coach Joey McGuire, talking early signing day here. Thanks for coming on, Coach.
No, thanks for having me, man. This is big. Love what y'all do.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. Love what you're doing. Speaking of, recruiting, you guys have gone hard in Texas. your first full cycle, obviously, but it looks like two things that really jump out are you are trying to own Texas and you're going after guys with verified speed. Tell me about your approach to this class.
Probably besides we didn't sign a tight end. Besides that, we really, targeted every position that we felt like we needed depth at. The one thing about our guys that you'll see, and you'll see it, saw it last year and you'll see it this year, we're looking for verified length, speed. We want big, long guys, and then we want guys that can really run. And, one thing that we've said all day, and if I'm wrong, I want somebody to prove me wrong, but we just signed the fastest class in the nation whenever it comes to verified speed. And we're really excited about those guys. And then we signed we signed 4 offensive linemen and I think 5 or 6 D tackle bodies that, are really going to help us. Besides the speed, we believe big people beat up little people. You're going to see the teams in the Final Four. They're really good up front. And that's what we're trying to continue to build here at Texas Tech.
No question. Speed and space will win you games. And if you're good in the trenches, we all know how that goes. Now, you talk about guys with length, and guys who have athleticism. Guy from right down the street, in fact, Isaiah Crawford. Tell me about that recruitment, because I think he's got a chance to be a great player for you.
Man, I love him. He and I have a very good relationship because I actually at the old place we're recruiting him to possibly be his position coach whenever I coached the outside linebacker. So he and I have known each other for a long time, and then was able to convince him to stay at home whenever I got the job. He was one of our first commits. Love the kid. I mean, this kid, he's 6'4", maybe 6'5", 230 something pounds. And he was running anchor on the 4x4 at the state track meet. I mean, that's just the kind he is. I mean, guy he is. You look at his highlight film, and he's chasing running backs down from the other side of the field. And he's kind of I call him the silent assassin because, man, he smiles a lot, but he doesn't talk a lot. He just goes out and works really hard. And I'm excited because he'll move into our boundary backer. And, traditionally Coach DeRuiter and this defense has had great success. That's where Von Miller played. And so we kind of see him as that kind of style of pass rusher, but also a guy athletic enough to drop into pass coverage.
Yeah, you gotta love a guy like that. When you throw out the comparison of Von Miller, you're talking big time football players. So
no doubt, no doubt.
That is exciting. Now, I know you got another guy, a really rangy DB, and you got into a little battle with Washington, and it turns out that he ended up a Red Raider. Tell me about Jordan Sanford and that recruitment.
Another young man, I mean, true speed. I mean, he ran in the state track meet last year. He's, verified a 10.5, but, on some stopwatches, he's gone as low as like a 10.38. And so a kid that can really run, huge for us because he's a mid-year. And being able to get him in here, I think he has a chance to make an impact on our team next year. We're going to play him at corner. But the great thing about him is he's got good size to where he could grow into a safety, a really fast safety, but we're going to start him off at corner. Two of my favorite things about him, he's always smiling, and, man, he has got a great mom. And his mom was such a big part of recruiting, and it was so important to her of him being able to study what he wants to study. And that's a great thing about Texas Tech. You can be a doctor from Texas Tech. You can be a pharmacist from Texas Tech. You can be a vet from Texas Tech. Great business school, great architecture school. And so it's a wide range of things, and he's going to have a chance to be a great student athlete.
Yeah. A guy who, and I don't know if this is true, but, Mikel Dingle is another guy that jumps out because when you talk speed, and to me, you're speaking my love language because I'm a big track guy. And Mikel Dingle is like one of the fastest hurdlers there is, I believe. Tell me about going, just the process of finding a guy like that, identifying, evaluating, and then ultimately landing him.
Yeah. Another mid-year. So we're excited. We have 11 mid-years out of this class. And so got some guys coming in a few weeks. Number 3 in the nation in the hurdles. You turn around and you got Justin Horn, who was number 8 in the nation in the hurdles. I could screw this number up, but I might be off one or two. But there's been 12 guys that are football track guys that have run as fast as what they're running in the hurdles, in the 110 hurdles. 8 of them have been drafted. The other 2 are coming to Texas Tech. And so it's our job to develop those guys into that. But, they're both over 200 pounds. And, Dingle, when you watched his film, he was really physical. He could really run. And it's weird. There's a couple guys like this, that's the one thing about us. I mean, we truly believe in our evaluations. I learned that from Matt Rule, who was my mentor. And in 2018, we signed the fastest class in the nation at Baylor. All those guys ran the fastest times last year at the NFL Combine. So, I mean, if you're fast, you might get a little faster, but, I'm never going to run a 10-3, ever, no matter how much I train. And so Dingle, man, he just that speed. And now it's our job to make sure that speed's going in the right direction to the football.
For sure. The philosophy, and you talk about, being with Matt Rule and signing the fastest class, ultimately it comes down to you find the guys with the talent and then you develop them. And the thing that I love about Texas football, and I know you've made recruiting Texas such a priority, is they're football junkies. They're guys who love football. They want to develop. They're going to get after it. And then you get that athletic piece as well. Tell me, as you finish out the rest of this class, are you looking to do anything in the portal? Are you looking, to sign any guys in the late period? Are you guys going to fill this up pretty early?
Well, we signed 2 young men from the portal. In the way we look at the portal, guys that make immediate impacts on positions that we've maybe lost a guy, and maybe our young guys are so close, but they're just not ready. We want to build this from the ground up. We're not going to be a team that takes a lot of guys from the portal. When we do, we want to have background on them. We want to probably have recruited them out of high school. But the other part, and we've done a lot of studies, I'm a big numbers guy. Just even in the game, we're big analytics. We go for it more than anybody else in the country on 4th down. That's coming from a place that Baylor is number 2 in the country for going for it on 4th down. So I learned that from Dave Aranda. But the numbers, when you start talking about the portal, you really track how many snaps these guys have taken in college football, because the ones that have not taken a lot of snaps in college football probably aren't going to take a lot of snaps in college football. And so we added 2 guys that have played a lot of college football. And then, we'll always look, we study it, and the only way we'll make a move, because we're really young on offense. We've got, depending on who you say our starting tailback is, we have 10 starters coming back on offense.
Wow.
And we have 7 because we have 4 guys returning for their super senior year. So we have 7 back on defense. So we're going to be real slow in making sure we're getting the right guys if we do any more than 2 out of the portal.
Yeah. Well, this sounds like you're off to an amazing start. First full class. I know you're having fun. I know a number of people surrounding the Texas Tech program. There's an energy around it. You've brought excitement. Everybody loves you that I have talked to, and I can definitely see why. And I love your philosophies as well, because I'm a big track guy, big analytics guy. And, I just love that, everything is backed by figures, numbers, and facts. So I really appreciate you coming on to, talk about your class with us today, Coach. Wish you the best of luck moving forward, and, finish it out strong.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me, man. Wreck 'em.
Clint Cosgrove, Rivals.com, here with our signing day show. We have Arizona head coach Jedd Fisch in the house. Congratulations on a great early signing period, at least a great start to one. Number of difference makers in this class. I know you guys had a strong class last year. The makeup of this class is a little different. I see a lot of, defensive linemen, some defensive backs. You got a, big time quarterback as well. Just tell me about how you approach this class, Coach.
Yeah, we thought that we signed so many players a year ago, and we felt really good about the young talent we have, and we knew we needed to sign another big class. We wanted to bring in a lot of probably another 35 players when it's all said and done by February 1st, let's call it. So we wanted to make sure we were able to build depth in certain positions. We wanted to bring focus into our defense, but we didn't want to lose track of making sure we got the right amount of skill players in each spot. So we wanted to make sure we brought in the receivers that we wanted, the tight end that we wanted, the quarterback, that we wanted, the running back that we wanted, but we didn't feel that we had to go get 2 or 3 of them. And I think that was the biggest difference. Now, defensively, we brought in, 16 or so players so far. And then the portal has also helped us out with the defensive side of it.
For sure. Let's start with, I guess, the most recent happening. You flipped a big-time offensive lineman from Alabama. Tell me about that recruiting process, and how were you guys able to do that, and how early do you think he can make an impact?
Well, RJ is, I would say, one of the top offensive linemen in the country, one of the best high school linemen I've ever seen play. He's huge. We were his first offer 2 years ago. That was the first offer we ever made as a coaching staff when he first arrived on campus here. I would imagine, I think in 10th grade. And then we kind of stayed with it. But as that was going, he was just collecting, and then committed to Alabama. I don't know, 6 months ago or so, whatever it might have been. But we were on the West Coast. We knew that you got to fly over a lot of states to go to the East Coast. And our goal was to be able to, stay strong, be around, but not be persistent, not be annoying, but just be available. And when things started changing and he started having second thoughts, we wanted to be the team that he chose to go to rather than some of these other teams in California.
Yeah, I mean, that is a huge win. Now, you guys, like you said, you had some big-time performances from freshmen right away this year. I believe you said when we talked earlier, you had more true freshmen playing than any, and not just playing, but starting for you than any other team in the country. There's also some difference makers who I could see making an early impact here. Tell me a little bit about, and I know you have a good quarterback situation, but Braden Dorman, I mean, the kid's a talent. What do you see in him?
Well, Braden's he's everything that you would want in regards to off the field, the way he handles himself, the way he prepares, extremely intelligent, great size for the position, a very successful player, enormous numbers. I mean, his numbers are ridiculous. Guys throwing 7 touchdowns a game, 8 touchdowns a game, 5 touchdowns a game. The amount of touchdown passes, the amount of yards he's thrown for as a high school player, started every game from his high school freshman year on. Wow. So I love that part of it. Bringing him into the room with Delora, with Noah. Noah's a special quarterback as well. So if he could learn from Noah and the way Noah prepared, if they both do a great job with Jaden, and continue to make Jaden better, pushing Jaden, continuing to get Jaden to be the best Jaden can be, I think we could have one of the best quarterback rooms in the country. And I know that Jaden has the plans to be the best quarterback in the country himself.
Yeah, I mean, you're a quarterbacks guy, and you have big-time quarterbacks. There's no question about that. Love what you're doing at that position. Defensively, obviously an emphasis, but what I see across the board in this class, and you did it last class too, the body types, the length, the size that you are bringing in. When you got there wasn't necessarily that type of player on the roster, I think. And as you rebuild this, tell me about your emphasis on length, on guys with size, toughness, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right, Clint. Our biggest thing was we didn't want the team picture to look like this. We didn't want to have all different sizes. We wanted to be big. That's kind of a New England Patriot way of putting a team together. I think that's just the way I believe in. I wanted to be big in the trenches. We got big. We got big fast in the last 2 years. And our philosophy is, as we were building it, we were really going to try to add as much size as humanly possible. And I would say this class is big. This class is big. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they all look like in a uniform here soon.
Yeah, for sure. You're definitely going to be looking different coming off the bus. I look at some of these sizes. It's pretty incredible what you have coming in. I mean, even the skill position guys are big. But, you know, Elijah Payne, 6'7", 300 pounds. Now, what is your plan moving forward in this class? You said you want to get up to potentially 35 guys. Do you think you'll have more coming late signing period? And is there going to be more of an emphasis on the portal as well?
Yeah, I think what we've got is we still have a few more guys that we can't talk about today, guys that have other plans throughout the process. We still have some guys that'll be coming in, I would imagine, through the portal over the next week or so to 2 weeks. And then, you know, I would say there's always going to be a couple guys that might have one thing happened or another, and next thing you know, they're available for February. So we're going to try to get to that number. I think if we can get there, that'd be great, 30 or 35, somewhere around that range. And then, you know, hopefully we could have a really good preferred walk-on program again here, where we could bring on another 10 or 15 guys and really do a great job of building our program with our youth. The last 2 years have been pretty special, this past year and then this one coming up, to see all these kids, and most of them are going to be here in January. So we should have a big group, and then headed by Justin Flo, obviously, to have Justin be here come January, and probably one of the highest ranked high school players of all time coming here, and excited about him leading the way on defense.
For sure. Well, congratulations. Love what you guys are doing on the recruiting trail. It's obviously paying dividends on the field. But can't thank you enough for coming on, Coach. Great to see you as always, and good luck as the rest of this class goes on.
Thanks, Clint. Appreciate it, buddy. We'll talk soon.
Clint Cosgrove, Rivals.com, here with Vanderbilt head football coach Clark Lea. Coach, it's been an exciting day for you guys. Looks like you're off to a great start, and a little different place team-wise than the last time we talked. Big strides on the field this year, and it looks like a little offensive emphasis to start off this early signing period. Tell me about your approach to this class and how you feel about it so far.
Well, we're excited, and it used to be you waited around the fax machine and you didn't know what to expect. I think anymore we have a pretty good grip on how the day is going to go, but we feel like we've added a group of players here that help us move forward. This is a group that was recruited off a 2-10 season, off a vision of belief and what's possible here. And I think this group exemplifies the toughness and the character that we're looking to help take the next step as a program. Obviously, the strides we made on the field this season were a good launching point for us in our program moving forward. That's both to take with us into January when our returning team is back and we're, hard at work forming Team 3, but also on the recruiting trail as well. We'll look to build on that momentum. But this is a special group. It's our second class as a staff here, and one that I feel like again exemplifies the type of player, the type of person that we want to bring in and build this program around.
For sure. I mean, it's an impressive group when you look at it. I know you went heavy at receiver, running back, offensive line. You got some good defensive players as well. One guy that really stands out to me as a playmaker is London Humphreys. Tell me about his recruitment, what you guys saw in him, and just how his recruitment went.
Well, London was a guy that camped with us, and we were impressed with him. He was early in on a football career and was just kind of learning the position, but he had the speed, and that speed is something that you can't coach. We were impressed with him out of camp, and had a chance to spend some time one-on-one with him, watching him work. That would have been last summer. We stayed with him and kept tabs on him, and ultimately felt like, when we were able to offer him, that we'd seen that growth and development. We saw the receiver skills come into life, and felt like he could be a playmaker for us in the SEC and a difference maker for this team and this program. Obviously, we were fortunate to have him see the same vision, and we're excited about adding him and what he can do for us just in terms of taking the top off defenses. We need a deep threat. He is certainly a deep threat, and I think he's early in on his football development. That's another signal to us. We want to recruit guys that have high ceilings, and we think we have the resources here to get him to his highest level. And at that point, we think he's a dynamic receiver on this stage, and that's a good thing for all of us.
Oh yeah, he can definitely take the top off, and obviously has great size to go along with that. So that's what stood out to me on film. You having him in camp and knowing that he does have some rawness to him, and that his ceiling is incredibly high. That gets me excited about him. I can only imagine what you guys picture his future like. Now, switching to the defensive side of the ball, I want to talk about a guy from a little place called Sussex, Wisconsin. You guys flipped him pretty late. He was committed to Wyoming, and Evan Herman. How did you go about uncovering him? And tell me about that recruiting process. Did you guys go in late? Had you been kind of monitoring him for a while? But he's a guy with a high motor, can rush the passer, and I think he could be a gem.
Evan is someone we were keeping tabs on. We were aware of. We loved him on film. We needed the chance to the opportunity to meet him in person and to really get around him. We were able to visit him late in that last weekend, and when he was here with his mom and dad, just recognized that again, that the internal fibers, just the fit. He was, he's tough. He's got a high ceiling. He's long. This guy is determined to be a dynamic football player and wants to do it at the highest level. He stares down the challenge of playing the SEC, and that drives him. It motivates him. That's the kind of person that we wanted, the kind of competitor we want in this program. And so it was for us a no-brainer. You have a guy again that we're going to develop him here. We don't want to put a ceiling on what he could contribute as a freshman. But we also understand that his best football is going to be a couple years down the road after we have a chance to fill that frame out and really build into his skill set. But he's tough. He plays hard. He makes plays on his high school film, and that's it's a great start for us, and a guy that we feel like will not just strengthen us with his on-field play, but will also strengthen us with his attitude and his approach to the game.
Yeah, I mean, just watching his film, like you can tell he loves the game of football. He is full go 100% of the time. And, you talk about that length, and when he gets some weight on him, I'm excited to see what he can do, because we know he's going to be able to get after the passer, get a little mass on him. And really the sky's the limit as far as what he can turn into as a player, in my opinion. How about the offensive line and running backs? I mean, it's a lot of people take multiple offensive linemen. But you guys also took multiple running backs. The thing that I notice about them is, they each have a little bit of a different skill set. What was your approach when you went, when you were targeting running backs? And then tell me after that how you approached your offensive line recruiting as well.
Yeah, with the running backs, we have a need there. We needed to make some choices as to whether we were going to use the portal as an opportunity to build out that room, or whether we were going to look to high school running backs. We happened to find three that really fit us. That for us it was a no-brainer that the route building that room through high school made a lot of sense. These are guys that all three we had documented track times on, documented times on. Felt like they demonstrated kind of multiple tools. So you saw them doing multiple things and dynamic skill sets that are going to translate to how we'll use the running back in our offense. We felt like we needed to take the opportunity to build speed into that room, and that was our goal, and we did that. I also think we got some guys that have some size on them too, which in this league, a physical run game is important. Guys that can break tackles and then have the speed to to separate and to finish runs in the end zone. And we're excited about that group. Obviously, we add them to a room that returns some playmakers for us. And so, that's a really coming out of this early signing period, a really healthy room for us. And we're excited with those guys. As far as the offensive line goes, we see this as a necessary part of our build, building on both sides of the line of scrimmage. This league is dominated in the front. And so we need to get big physical players that have an edge and have toughness. And obviously with O-line development, you want to be patient because the transition from high school to college is dramatic at the line of scrimmage. But we also feel like we have guys that, are going to have an opportunity to come in and have an impact. And that's exciting for us. We want to build our offense around a physical run game. Obviously, we've added some playmakers on the perimeter. So, we can open up some vertical shots now, off run action. And, we just know it starts up front and it starts with that run game. And so we're excited about adding those pieces and, what that's going to look like, not just in, 2023, but also years to come.
For sure. There's a lot going on with your program. There's a buzz about Vanderbilt. It's exciting watching what you guys are doing on the field and then seeing this class come in and what you're going to be able to do, talking about stretching the field, explosive plays, building it up front, run game. I'm excited to see what the future holds, but can't thank you enough for coming on, Coach. Congratulations on a great start to this class. And maybe we'll be talking again at the late signing period again as well.
Well, I'd love that. Always good to be with you and appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Coach.